AITAH for breaking up my engagement because my fiancé isn't traditional enough? The author of the post is listed in the description. A little background: I, 26F, come from a relatively traditional Asian family, so sorry in advance for the bad English. My father owns a rice wine brewery and my mother help him with it. Even though I said my family is pretty much conservative, from what I've seen growing up, my father never told my mother to do all the chores and he helps her with it. My father always say that he couldn't provide for the family alone and she has to work. That's why he never expect her to do everything in the house. Just like how they share the responsibilities to earn for our family, they also share responsibilities taking care of the household. Now, come my fiancé, 29M. We met on social media. He's an American who's currently working in my country. We've been dating for 3 years and been engaged for 5 months. He always tell me he's looking for a traditional woman and want to date with marriage in mind. He said that women who are able taking care of household and child rearing admirable, and I always agree to him without much thought because that's indeed incredible feat, right? He's working in a small university and I'm currently working in hospital. We saved enough to buy a house with a little bit of the help of my parents, but we haven't moved in together though because, Asian parents. But anyway, on my father's birthday last week, we talked about marriage once again. He doesn't think his income alone would be enough after our marriage, and it's giving him insecurities, so I suggested that I keep working after marriage, and that's not a problem because we'd be partner. My father also offered that we take over his brewery, and while I found the idea lovely, my fiancé, on the other hand, seemed hesitant about it, but he agreed that I should keep my job. That was where the first problem started. I told him that since I have to work then, I expect he'll help with the household chores later. After I said that, he suddenly got irritated. He said that he had been telling me he's looking for a traditional woman and that now he had been catfished since I don't want to take care of every house chores because I'd still work anyway. Whenever he said he's looking for traditional spouse, I always thought that he'd also be a traditional spouse, aka being sole provider, so I can focus on taking care of the house and child if we ever have any. But when I told him that, he said I'm a gold digger and materialistic like any other woman, even when I never once asked him to be sole provider. He brought that up first. Mind you, I didn't even let him spend alone whenever we go out on a date. For example, he paid dinner, I paid for coffee and movie. Even my father willingly offered his brewery if we want to take care of it as a mean to provide ourselves. So where's the gold I should have been digging here? That was when I actually put the ring down and tell him that I want to break up. I told him he's not traditional enough if he wants fully traditional wife. I didn't want to deal with someone who could easily call me a gold digger because I want to share the chores. That hasn't even happened yet, in front of my parents. I can't help but think if he could easily said what he said in front of my parents when we haven't married yet, then he could be saying something worse if we're married and alone. I went home alone and he texted me saying he was sorry and he didn't mean what he said. He asked to meet, but I don't feel like it. However, when I told my friends, most of them told me I was a bit too emotional, hasty, and impulsive, that I might look like an asshole because I don't even want to meet him. His mother now trying to talk me out of it and that I'm too old to act like this and it's the culture barrier that lead us to this point. So here I am, trying to look for a new perspective. AITAH, relevant comments. What did your parents think? My parents don't really speak English, so they only could understand it a bit and piece of what we said. My father initially felt bad. He thought we fought because he brought up the business, but after I told them the reason, excluding the gold digger and materialistic remarks, they are fully on my side, and if I want to end it, then I should, but they think I should meet him at least once to end our relationship properly. Be careful when you break up with him and bring someone along. All right, thanks for your advice. My parents are coming, and my father said he's not going to let me meet him alone. Thank you once again. Update. First of all, I want to thank everyone who kindly replied and messaged me the past week. I truly am grateful for all the encouragement I received from everyone. It really warms my heart amidst of all this mess. I want to admit that I, too, ignored a quite number of red flags he displayed in the past years, brushing it off as difference in our culture and upbringing. I thought I was being open-minded and accommodating, not knowing that I should have opened a deeper conversation regarding what I want if I were to deepen our relationship. Many people kindly gave me praises in my previous post, but I feel rather undeserving to receive them because I also did so many stupid things that got me here. Okay, now to the real update. Last night, I had a dinner with him alongside with my father after much thought and input I received from Redditors, friends, and family. Long story short, he still didn't want to end our relationship. He apologized, saying he misspoke and wanted to fix his mistake. He said it was because he was too comfortable with me since I'm not a confrontational person, and I did help quite a lot with his chores, bringing side dishes, help clean up his place every now and then, etc. So he thought I'll always be accommodating what he wants. I also apologized that I've never really brought this kind of topic seriously and not making sure we were on a same page whenever we did discuss this type of topic. He agreed that I should have told him before because that way it would never got to this point and then keep bringing up my bad communication. I know it's my fault too, but it didn't feel good at all hearing that from him. Even if he had admitted his faults and never spoke badly to me before except for that one time, I still can't shake off my distrust of him. I don't know why, but what happened last week is like an instant feeling repellent. So I returned the ring he gave and told him I'll return more than half of the amount we used to buy our house. He initially refused the money, saying he wants to keep trying to win back my trust and me to keep in contact with him. But this morning he said I can transfer his money because marriage is not really happening now and tried to prevent me to sell the house nor tell our mutual friends that marriage is off the table. So I just updated almost all of my group chats that now I'm single and here to tell everyone I'm single because my now ex-fiancé got a red flag so big China would be crying with envy. I feel like an asshole, to be honest, because it seems like my feeling for him was that shallow all along. But maybe reality hasn't hit me yet, but that's that. Relevant comments. You absolutely did the right thing. What does your dad think? My dad is a typical Japanese father, so we don't talk a lot since I've grown up. But he's supporting my decision to cancel the engagement. He doesn't say much, but he looks quite happy since he wasn't into it for quite a long while back. Thank you for the kind words. I hope you and everyone around you always be kind to you like you do to me now. It certainly makes me feel better. You need to go to intense therapy so it doesn't happen again. You apologized to a man for not being his maid. Thank you for the response. I didn't apologize for not wanting to be someone's maid, but for not being open and talking about what I want and expect in our relationship. I read in my previous post, many pointed out that conversation with this topic should have happened long before, and I agree with that. That's why I apologize. However, I will also keep working on myself, so thank you for your suggestion. I will keep it in mind. The house, did you go 50-50? Why does he get more? We went 45, and my father added the 10%. My father was the one who offered to give him 50% of the shares as an extra layer of protection. Now he cannot complain and has no reason to contact me or my family. To catch a sea bream with shrimp, he said. Thank you for the reassurance, and I'll work hard to be better. Thank you for your response also. I really appreciate it. Commenter. If the two of you are joint owners and want to cash out of it, he is entitled to a share in the house's current value, not a share of what he initially paid. Up. The house is under my name as it's difficult for foreigners to own property in a good condition here. Thank you for your concern. Someone called Uupi and her family spineless, and I really appreciated her responses. If you don't mind, I don't have a problem with you insulting me, but do not attempt to do that, my family. Not everything can be resolved by only being tough and formidable. I don't think it's stupid knowing when to be firm and how we compromise for our final decision to avoid future problems. But I do think it's naive when one doesn't even consider that there are other ways to solve a problem other than butting heads and fighting. Stupid when they don't even try to understand the logic behind others' problem-solving method. Another response. That's your prerogative right to insult us. It's also within my prerogative right to ask you to stop. This kind of exchange is called conversation in Japan. I don't know about what it's called in your country. Is it another cultural difference? If someone's uncomfortable, they should have sucked it up or didn't go talk in the first place? Excellent. My apology for being so ignorant. Giving him more money than he deserved guaranteed me an excuse for cutting contact completely, that I've compromised my decision. Social circle runs differently here because breaking up an engagement divorce will always be a hot topic. And sometimes it affects you on an institutional level. Sometimes it'll affect your career even more when you're a woman. Yes, there are some cases where people getting fired because they got divorced, because it'll reflect badly on the company's image. Sometimes, some company goes as far as giving paid leave and vacation to mend their employees' married life. I'm not breaking up. I'm canceling an engagement. It weighs differently. You're naive to think every society works like yours, and your value is applicable to every part of the world without considering their societal circumstances. I'm not excusing it, but I'm not someone so important that I can change them overnight, nor do I want to sacrifice my family and my own reputation. I'm not delusional enough to think I'm the main character. If that's still spineless to you, then sure, I hope you do as well as him navigating your life here. Okay, next story. My 48M stepson, 18M, declined all forms of relationship and now has sudden request for financial assistance. What to do? Background. Been with my partner for a long time. 3 children, 20F, bio, 18M, 25M, step. Having been involved with their lives from a younger age, the blended family concept wasn't as easy as I imagined. Children are smarter than you think and focus well on their surrounding environment. I would describe my relationship with the older son as very good. He initially was cautious and didn't trust me, which is normal, however. Now we're quite close and open with each other. The youngest, not so much. I did not want to pressure him to like me or accept me, so the process was very gradual. As a kid, wasn't too keen on activities, wished I would go away now, and occasionally in public settings referred to me by various terms like he didn't know who I was and just found out I'm a guy with mom, to sometimes mom's boyfriend, despite being married at the time. I'm assuming he viewed the term boyfriend with some more favorable meaning or significance back then. My wife tried too during that time, but he had already made up his mind even at that age, and I never took it in a negative light. Normal step-parent situations. As he grew older, it's been more formal and surface level, basically whatever is strictly necessary and pretty much that. At 15 years of age, he said it's not about me specifically, but I'm just not a parental figure to him, and I ought to establish a clear boundary. He's not interested in any conversation with me, no discussion, nothing. I'm a person who's sharing the living location, nothing more. And given I'm not a parent, I have no business getting involved in any major decisions of his. He's going to decide what's best for himself by himself. That was admittedly very difficult for me, but nonetheless I eventually agreed to this boundary. Essentially, if there was a decision or general life situation, he doesn't ask for my advice, nor do I provide said advice to begin with. You do you, because I'm just the man who happens to live here, and so I don't get a say in any of that. Again, as hard as it was to hear those words, I did agree. He wants nothing to do with me, and has announced clearly and directly as much. It doesn't get simpler than that, and me and my wife felt that he was old enough to be making such a decision, and if that's what he wants, then so be it. It's not something I've done, it's just the way it is. For additional context, my eldest has at least made an effort to understand my point of view, and allowed me to be some part of his world, even if we sometimes disagree. I recognized that this effort begins with me, and it isn't their obligation. But we eventually worked it out together to develop a strong mutual bond in a way that I couldn't with my other son. He and our daughter get along super well, too. They are quite simply siblings in every sense of the term, though her and the youngest is somewhat of a different story. At least he does converse with her in regular terms and not legalese, but you can tell they don't like to be in the same room or spend more than about 15 minutes together before a verbal fight emerges. Now for the financial part of the story. Me and my partner have worked our asses off to provide what I would describe as a comfortable life for all of them. They've gotten pretty much what they wanted, within reason, of course. And we were fortunate enough to support our eldest and our daughter through higher education. I've been really involved in that process and provided help and guidance along the way, just like any parent would, importantly meaning there was communication, back and forth dialogue. Fast forward to now, the youngest is in the planning for college phase. Naturally, I provided no input. He was free to choose whatever educational path he wished for and do whatever he wants. This includes what subjects he finds himself interested in, what stuff he's applying to, the whole deal. None of my business, and specifically per his request to not interfere with his life. However, he expects me to foot the bill, all of it. I was taken aback by this, considering his decline to interact with me in any meaningful way for such a lengthy period of time. You don't want a relationship with me, that's fine. I understand, and I won't push the matter any further. But now you demand a relationship to my wallet? That's not going to happen so quickly, and I informed him I'm not his personal ATM. Maybe the comment was unjustified in hindsight, but it was in the heat of the moment. He flipped, declaring that I've never been there for him, wasn't there for his big moments, generally apathetic, and what really struck me as odd, a financial abuser. Now you're free to label me whatever you wish, I don't care. But an abuser? After all this time? I wasn't having any of it, of course, and I told him essentially, I'm not going to entertain his fantasy world. I'm no longer his bank account, and if he thinks he's with an abuser, he's welcome to actually do something useful, get paid, and get out of here if that's what he thinks. Which I knew he wasn't going to do. Yeah, we totally got burned out 24/7 and reached our breaking points multiple times to be able to maintain a decent life for the needs of 3 kids at once because of abuse. Now, I'm conflicted. My partner thinks I kind of overreacted, made unnecessary comments, and could have phrased my viewpoint a bit better, but is neutral on the college situation. She says anybody who goes through what I've had to deal with and then gets thrown an outright proclamation like this would feel the same way. This is basically somebody telling you the equivalent of, yo, fuck you. Also, hey, bro, you got a few $1000s? K-thang-X, bye. Straight to you face. But at the same time, it's already a tense situation. He might not deserve it, but this amounts to choosing a golden child and ignoring the rest. And if there was any hope in the metaphorical door being left open slightly, it's now permanently shut off. So treat it as a moment of rage, but not follow through. We do things sometimes because we have to, not because we want to. But I'm just confused. I don't know what to do anymore. Are those the actions of somebody who wants me? Am I even a human in all this, or just a computer terminal where you press the denomination and out comes the cash? Can you hurt somebody so deeply, let it be known in no uncertain terms you actively do not welcome their presence, to all but fuck off, and yet have the courage to even make such a demand of them? ETA. Answering a few questions. Can't mom just pay on her own? Well, she doesn't want to at the moment. In the end, if she reaches that decision, I won't stop her from doing so. But she's expressed the need to let this be a lesson first. Do the other kids agree with you, tell you what you want to hear? We disagree often, like any normal people. I'm not looking for servants who do as I say. Human relationships are way more complicated. Are you trading money in return for ABC, XYZ? No. Humans have conversations like humans do. They don't trade or barter like cavemen. Where is Bio-Dad? Probably next to his bottle. The son made a decision as a child. Children are not equipped to make decisions, are they? I'm not enough of a fool to believe that I'm going to let a child saying something affect my relationship with him that much. But teenagers still have an independent thinking brain, and healthy relationships are not about pushing your opinions on others. So given that he was 15, therefore it means he can sod off and just be ignored because he's not yet of legal age? No, he can still talk, and he has. What about therapy? The therapist himself recommend giving a safe space and not pressuring. You don't need a therapist to tell you that, but we have, and he has. So that's what has been done. I'd rather give somebody their safe space than act like an asshole and wonder why they don't like me. ETA #2. For those wondering, the original post was deleted by the mods on AITAH because they basically said that it was not expressed well in the form of a question and therefore there's nothing to judge. I'm hoping here will be a bit more nuanced. For the record, the majority there was YTA, but I'm open to opinions, which is exactly why I posted to begin with. Update. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a weird one. First, let me start by thanking all the thoughtful advice I've got, some of which I've in fact applied. So I gathered around the crew and we had a nice, serious family talk. I told him, look, what's not going to change going forward is that you are still my son, no matter what comes out of your mouth. You can call me the worst of names, push me away in as many ways, and indeed, unequivocally you have. But I'm still going to be there for you. However, we need to sit down and evaluate the concept of me and you. Man to man, real talk, how would you describe the current state of our relationship in your own words? And moving forward, given this relationship, how would you say it affects your financial and emotional expectations towards me? I tried to keep it as open-ended as possible so we could really have an honest discussion. He broke down, crying. He said, fuck you, you're not my father, I don't want your emotional whatever the fuck. I have an A in philosophy, fuck you. Whatever that means. To which I replied, well, if you don't want it, Then maybe ask the guy who is your father. And then he just said, "Yeah, you bet I will, bitch," and stormed out. Didn't even get a chance to keep the conversation going. So there's that. He's probably at his friend's, because no way he's going to ask a guy who has trouble moving in a straight line for anything. Anyway, I'll let the whole situation cool down for a while, because I've had enough of it. Might have another update later if there's still any interest, but I don't want to turn it into a reality TV show, LOL. Thanks for all the kind comments, especially the longer ones that have been very helpful. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.